Welcome to WellnessFX. Today we are going to talk about one of the thousands of really interesting stories that we have in our system and just a little bit about our company if you're not aware. WellnessFX is about democratizing access to high quality healthcare services, things that tell you what's going on, making the inside, making that visible. And we have thousands of stories. We've been around for 3 years, over 4,000 people. Diane Fu and Justin Mager. Diane's one of our clients. Justin's one of our premier doctors. And Diane is actually one of the most interesting early stories we had back in 2011. So I want to give a little bit of background, and then we're going to actually dive into how we unwound this story. The most interesting thing about Diane, she's a nationally renowned Olympic lifting coach. And she, back then in San Francisco CrossFit, was a trainer, was coaching, was generally seen as kind of cranky, was puffed out in parkas all the time, very cold, physically, and then she was just kind of bumping along. And she got tested, and actually it's been transformational, and I'm going to let her tell her own story. That's just kind of setting a stage is before and after. So what I'd like to do is, Diane, can you talk a little bit about what your life was like before you got tested and kind of discovered how to start basically improving your biology?
Yeah, absolutely. I probably wouldn't even recognize that person today. So this was back, we said 2 years ago, so 2011. I was full-time training. I was working as a coach for San Francisco CrossFit. I was competing nationally as a Olympic weightlifter myself. I had very active personal life, social life, so there were just a lot of balls juggling in the air. I worked very long hours. I would be at the parking lot by 6 a.m. coaching. I typically would be there all day long till 9 in the evening, and I was just generally very tired. I felt, like my capacity was pretty much being pushed on a constant basis, and I kind of felt that's just how things were. I figured I work long hours. I'm training myself on a full-time schedule. I eat well, but it basically was what it was.
Yeah, like another 300 million Americans, right? It's just kind of
didn't sleep
the way
enough.
It's supposed to be, and never probably dreamt that there's a biological issue there.
Right. Never even thought about that.
So you get tested. I saw your panel. A lot of green in there, actually. You're a pretty healthy person, but
yep.
Interesting. One thing.
Just try to eat paleo. I exercise regularly, and I felt like my lifestyle was the best with the information and the ability that I had to do to take care of myself. I felt that everything couldn't have been more on target.
So then you get tested. Dr. Justin, you've seen Diane's panel.
I did.
It's kind of interesting to me. All that green, and yet just this one thing out of whack.
Right. And what I would add to what Diane just alluded to is that she wouldn't have thought to be tested. And I would add to that if she would have gone to see a physician, looking at her, she's muscular, she's fit, they wouldn't have tested her either. They would have said, you're fine, and you're healthy, and don't worry about it. And we were proactive here. We got a very comprehensive panel, and as everybody has alluded to this point, her thyroid was off. It was off in the sense that TSH, which is a signal that comes from the brain, the pituitary, and tells the thyroid to manufacture, release thyroid for the body to run its metabolism off of. The signal was very high, and when you actually looked at the actual hormone production, it was very low. So the very first step that we said, we went back to her story. She's running cold, she's fatigued, she's tired, she's dragging, she's miserable, because her body's metabolic system is not keeping pace with her life. So the first step was we gave her some supportive therapies, things that are essential for a thyroid to manufacture and produce the hormones, such as iodine, selenium, tyrosine. And how did you respond?
Well, let me backtrack 1 second and say,
Back in and forth.
How you guys are seeing me right now, I was dressed in so many layers every single day.
Actually, I'm an athlete of Diane's, and I joke because she had this big orange jacket that she was the Great Pumpkin.
It was pretty epic. I'd have like several layers of pants, several layers. I'd have a puffy vest with my puffy jacket with a beanie, you guys, I'm practically naked right now, right? It's night and day. And so I was just constantly cold. After Justin started making the recommendations, I was like, I'm going to go all in. If this is going to help fix I just wanted to be warm. Like, how modest of a goal was that? I just want to be warm. And so I started implementing all the, different supplementations, vitamin D, etc. And I would say almost within the first 30 days, it wasn't epic, but I just felt something
you just feel
different.
Generally
I
better.
just felt a little bit better. Like, I just felt like I couldn't even put my finger on what it was. It wasn't like I was suddenly stripping off layers. I mean, it was just like, I was like, this is okay. Like, I don't know what it is, but I feel good.
Right. So, what's interesting is 12% of Americans have an undiagnosed thyroid issue. And so they walk around with a lot of these symptoms. They say, oh, my hands are cold, or I don't have a lot of energy. I'm kind of cranky. So you may be one of those people out there, and we actually see a lot of people out there like that. And what's interesting about this is there are actual measurable changes, mostly in diet, that you can do. So,
right, and on top of that, you bring up a very important point, Diane, is that changes occur over time, and the medical system is really geared towards diagnosing and identifying extremes, things that can cause you imminent harm if not corrected in a short period of time. And so if you're not having that happen to you, which was certainly not your case, you can expect that your function might decline over time, so that you just get used to the new normal for you, and you have no idea of that sense of change. And then when we do something that's corrective, when we're engaging diet, when we're getting smart supplementation, and looking outside of the box, you alluded to vitamin D. There's some data that suggests that if your vitamin D is low or low normal, which, by the way, 90% of people that I ever check their vitamin D level, it's low or low normal. Even people that are that live in Florida that I've checked. And there's a bunch of circumstances that we can go into with that. But we got to look at some of these other things, how they're impacting. And if we start to change these and correct that, there are going to be subtle changes over time. Even a child going through a growth spurt, that happens over the course of a year. It's not they grow an inch in a month. That's why we want to track this. We got a subsequent panel for you. The numbers all improved. So the absolute low thyroid function got into the green. It's still not optimal. The TSH, the signal from the brain, it normalized. It wasn't so high. So we have this follow-up, and we can say, look, she feels better, she's performing better, things have changed for her. The data shows that. And so we have confidence to go forward with the data. We did a third panel. The third panel had some changes in it. It looked like
a little bit of backsliding too, right?
Yeah, a little bit of backsliding. So the vitamin D came on board for a while. Then she let go of the vitamin D, and the vitamin D levels kind of sank back down. The thyroid looks dysregulated again. So we're correcting that, right?
So I will take full responsibility on that. I've been feeling so amazing. Life has been getting so much busier. I've started a new concept called Foo Barbell, which is the weightlifting club that operates out of San Francisco CrossFit. And so I've got however many balls I had in the air, just
You've got
double.
Lots of followers. You just appeared in Kelly Starrett's book.
Right. So there's been a lot. So I kind of took it for granted that things were cruising well. So things kind of slipped a little bit on the back end, and obviously I got busted.
Yeah, but that's the great thing about checking. Regular checkups show where you are, if you're tracking or not.
If you feel great, that's a great time to test those labs. Mm-hmm. If you feel shitty, it's a great time to test the labs.
You know what? That's a great point, because the other thing is who knows the power to be unleashed, because you're bumping along low normal, right?
Right. I'm only Imagine the possibility.
Imagine if you're abnormal.
Oh my God. Yeah, I am still right now, we just retested, and I am only low normal.
Right.
Can you believe it? You guys better be careful out there, because Diane Fu has not shown up yet.
Yeah, so you kind of went from being an F student to a C minus,
I'm a C minus.
Yeah,
Imagine the potential. The opportunity
student.
is still there. I can't tell you how excited I am.
So where would you look to actually gradually move Diane as far as her T3? Because that's what we're talking about, right?
Yeah, so there's a spectrum of what's considered physiologically normal, and if you look at the actual numbers, it's almost a 2.5-fold difference in what they consider low normal and high normal. And so when I'm addressing and talking with somebody, I believe in a little bit of modesty at first, and so we started her off at a modest dose, and we've got it up, but it's still in that low third. So I think our next step is that we're going to kind of bump this up into the middle, that middle 2/3 or that second third of function, and just follow how she's performing and how she's doing, because that's an important piece. Your subjective experience. I don't want to just treat numbers for the sake of treating numbers. And there's a liability of having too high a thyroid and always taxing the metabolic process as well. So I don't think that there is a true number that I actually aim for, as much as that I'm looking within that range of what's considered normal, and I'm talking to the clients, and we're paying attention to things. Basal metabolic rate. What is your weight doing? What is your performance doing? So if people have too high a thyroid, one symptom can be that they have they're early fatiguing, or they feel like they don't have the power that they could have. And then if you look at the extreme of something called Graves' disease, which is hyperthyroidism, too much, they'll waste away muscle. And so this is something that obviously we don't want to approach that for Diane, because she doesn't want to lose any lean muscle development that she's worked hard to get to this point.
Right. I don't gain it fast enough.
So yeah, it's really interesting how just a couple things being a little bit off can make it suboptimal, and then trying to move it to, say, a range that's kind of, I mean, the numbers look pretty small, right? But it just makes such a huge difference.
Right. And there's this concept, I think, that one of my high school coaches would address our defense and say, look, you guys are only going to be as strong as your weakest link. And, if you're looking at this comprehensive physiologic system where there's all these inputs that are working, if you have a weak link in there, that's going to be a limiting factor. And then even worse is that over time, if you don't address that, if you don't identify that, then you're going to have all kinds of problems surrounding it, that it doesn't become just one link in the chain that's a little bit weakened. It's a whole system that's imbalanced because it can't handle that stress point, and it can't respond to that. So this is why we should be looking at this. We were talking earlier. If somebody comes up to me and they say, "Yeah, I feel great, everything is working well," yeah, get a lab panel. What does that look like under the hood? Exactly.
Yeah.
You're feeling terrible? Yeah, get a lab panel. That's the perfect time for it. In the engagement of it is part of the victory. I mean, now that Diane's aware of this, she's thinking about it. She actually reached out. What's the next steps? What are the next steps? And that's exactly what we want our clients and our community to do, because you are gonna optimize your own health. We as a community are gonna optimize your health. So get involved. That's what the success of the program is going to be.
Now, we're all about, we want people to, this is as much about you learning about how you work, because this is a hunting license for you to carry around the rest of your life. You know which levers to throw, what makes you tick, what things you need to address. And Justin's right. Checking in, I have a lot of people say, you know what, I'll ask them, have you gotten retested? No, I kind of do the hangdog thing. And I'll say, why not? And they say, well, I've been kind of blowing myself out recently, and I want to get back on the wagon and really clean myself up, and then I'll get retested. And the fact of the matter is, you should stick to a schedule of getting tested, whether you've been a good person or not, from a taking care of yourself standpoint, because every time you get tested, it's more info. You can see, even if you're abusing yourself, it's actually good info. You see how much abuse your body can tolerate and how it responds to that. So another question I want to bring up. How is the process for this? Is this the way the consult went, or is this super convenient? Do you talk on the phone, or I mean, how to tell the listeners or the viewers how that worked?
Well, so the results came in. I got an email to set up my consultation. I did my consultation, got the appointment, phoned in, and both times I spoke with Justin. And he was just super helpful. We ran through every single biomarker, and he actually was able to explain to me, how every biomarker, how it affected me, the good, the bad, why it was good or bad. It was actually kind of amazing kind of following him down. How many biomarkers did I get checked? Like
60, 70.
60, 70, 80.
60,
Yeah.
70, 80 different biomarkers. And when we got to the ones that were red and needed a little bit more, content or backup information, Justin spent the time, telling me what was going on, why it was low, and kind of possible strategies we would take to try and bump that up.
So, we're all healthcare consumers of the conventional kind. What was that like, having a screen? And you were on the phone, right? So you haven't really interacted with Justin a lot in person.
No. Very, very few times, actually. It was really convenient. It was easy to use. It was really fun to stare at your own stats. Right. It's kind of fun to geek out on yourself.
Kind of have the guide in the ear.
Just right in the ear. This is what's going on with me. Oh, this is what's underneath the hood. And it was really fun. It was really neat to look at. And again, the consultation was it's very, very easy to consume.
Just like having a phone call.
Very easy to consume.
And how about getting drawn? How was that?
I don't like needles. But it was super easy as well.
Just in and out?
In and out. I think I was in and out in like 15 minutes. It was so fast. I way overshot how much time I put on my meter. It was very convenient.
So you just had your set of consults and you're back on the wagon, and
right.
You're basically throwing the levers. What things are you focused on for the next round of biological improvement?
Well, you're first correcting your vitamin D pretty aggressively at this point.
Pretty aggressive. I'm drinking vitamin D to a limit every day to try and really get that marker bump back up. Yes.
Right. And at this point, since our nutritional therapies had worked up to a certain level, but still not quite optimal, we decided to go on a little bit of bioidentical thyroid replacement for the next few months to see how that affects her system. There's another piece to this puzzle that's kind of uncovering, or we realize that we need to look further in. And WellnessFX actually is now doing these advanced thyroid panels. And one of the pieces of information that we haven't gotten to this point that we're very interested in is autoantibodies. And autoantibodies are made by your own immune system. They're attacking your own thyroid. There's some speculation that this can be connected to low vitamin D, which makes your immune system hyperactive. There's also some evidence and speculation that there's cross-reactivity to foods in the diet. So for our next set of labs and data, we're going to look at these autoantibodies and see are they present? Are they absent? Is this something that we need to then turn over to an endocrinologist or the conventional medical model? We hope not. We might look outside of the box again and do some food sensitivity panels and making sure that we're not unduly antagonizing her immune system so that it's attacking foods that are agreeing with her and her own body as caught in a crossfire. So we have some more work to do here, and we'll get it done.
Yeah, pretty awesome. The last 2 years, it's basically stories of people like you in our service that really makes my day, because just watching your business take off and kind of being part of that is fantastic.
Right. Well, I think it speaks volumes to the importance of what you guys are doing by fixing my biomarkers and elevating anything I had in the red back up into the green. It's just made me a different person today. Like I joked 2 years ago, I'm like, WellnessFX saved my life, but I really do believe that you guys have provided me with an opportunity to be my best self.
Well, that's awesome. Thank you.
We've come a long, long way together, through the hard times and the good. I have to celebrate you, baby. I have to praise you like I should.